I think that the most important advice that I feel to give is choose the right people to work with. Together you will live a great idea and you will surely have success, but nothing is possible alone. And the team, the sum of the single legs is definitely more than the real sum. So yes, do something together.
Welcome to The In Factor, conversations with entrepreneurs who started, stumbled, and succeeded. I'm Rebecca White, and today I am recording in an incubator in Penta, Italy, in an interesting building that was formerly a monastery and is located near the campus of the University of Salerno. My guest today is Alessia Saggese, Associate Professor and co-owner of AI Tech SRL. AI Tech is a highly dynamic and innovative company that designs and manufactures artificial intelligence enterprise solutions in the field of smart video analysis for such applications as monitoring vehicle and pedestrian traffic, anti-intrusion and early fire detection, behavioral analysis, and statistical and predictive data analysis. Listen in to learn more about how this team of scientists studies and utilizes the latest AI technologies to provide a wide variety of global customers with visual recognition solutions. Welcome, Alessia. So glad to have you on the In Factor.
Hello, it's a pleasure.
I'm excited to be here. I'm in Pisciano, next to the University of Salerno.
Yeah.
And you're in an incubator here, and you have an amazing company. It's A1 Tech behind us, and we're going to learn a little bit about you and your company today. So thank you for taking the time to do this.
That's really, really a pleasure.
So let's start by learning a little bit more about you. I know a lot of the companies here come from a university research partnership. So I'd like to learn how you got started with A1 Tech, and then a little bit more about what A1 Tech does. I know it's a high-tech company, artificial intelligence, and so I'm excited to hear more about what you do.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That's a pleasure to be here with you today, and it's a pleasure to introduce you and all our friends, our company, AI Tech. My name is Alessia, and I am an associate professor of the University of Salerno, of the Department of Computer Engineering at the University of Salerno. And together with some colleagues of the university, some years ago, we decided to transform our scientific knowledge, our deep knowledge into artificial intelligence, into something ready for the market. That's how AI Tech was born. So AI Tech stands for Artificial Intelligent Technologies. Basically, what we do is to apply artificial intelligence, and in particular the latest trend of artificial intelligence, which is deep learning, to the automatic analysis of images and videos. Nowadays, we have a huge amount of video surveillance cameras spread over our territory. Well, what we can do is to make such cameras smart. So, to transform such cameras into intelligent sensors, able to automatically understand what it is happening inside the scene, so as to support the human operator in the quite boring task of visualizing this huge amount of surveillance camera.
So surveillance cameras and giving them, making them smart, intelligent.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, this is really fascinating. So deep learning is fascinating, and some of our listeners may not know that term and what that means. So could you explain a little bit more about what deep learning is and what that field is doing?
Well, basically, it's a branch of artificial intelligence. What we do is somehow to simulate the way in which the human brains work. So we take as an input data, our image, and we are able, thanks to some complex mathematical models, to automatically analyze this image so as to extract something of interest. Let me say, the presence of a person, the presence of a vehicle, the presence of an animal. Once we are able to automatically identify the fact that inside an image there is a person, there is an animal, there is a vehicle, then we could analyze the movement of such objects to extract somehow their trajectories time by time, and then to analyze their behaviors. Just to give you a couple of examples.
Yes.
Imagine to have a road, and you need to understand the number of vehicles crossed on this road, so as to understand if there is a congestion, if you need to readjust.
Like the Italian roads?
Yes, exactly. That's why we need this.
That's why you need it here in Italy.
Yes. So if there is a congestion somewhere and you need to dynamically change the traffic light in order to avoid the congestion,
Crashes or
all around the city. But also imagine that you want to automatically understand if there is a vehicle crossing the stopped line while the traffic light is red. So the red traffic light violation.
Yes, violation.
So the idea is that, okay, a human operator can do it, because if I have a surveillance camera, the human operator could watch the camera and then is fully able to understand what it is happening. But this is something long, because you should have a human operator in front of the monitor looking for a long time what it is happening, and this is just for a single camera. What about a city where there are hundreds of cameras? This becomes impossible. Then at the end, what it typically happens is that in a city, we have a huge amount of different cameras. We just store the data, and if something happens, there is a thief stealing a vehicle, then only in this case we go there and we start watching video by video, time by time. This is boring for the human operator that could do
and more error.
Better.
There can be more mistakes.
Yes,
well.
It's really prone to errors, and often it's a very time-consuming task.
More expensive.
So you cannot do it in most of the situations. So the idea is this huge amount of data, video data, can be used to generate other data, but more meaningful data. Instead of just having a camera, let's automatically extract how many vehicles passed on that road, which kind of vehicles. There are a lot of trucks, there are a lot of motorbikes. What about the timing for planning the maintenance of the road? If on that road nothing happens, no truck passes on that road, probably I can do the maintenance after, let me say, 3 years. If I have thousands of trucks passing on that road per day, probably I need to take some different choice. If I have only some roads of the city with a lot of traffic jams, congestions, probably I could organize the city in a different way by changing the sense, the direction of some roads. But the point is, if I haven't the data for reasoning about that, I just have the video, I cannot use it without data generated from the video. At the end, I do not use them.
Is this a similar data to what works, say, on our iPhone, when our iPhone tags people by facial recognition? Like, do you use facial recognition in this as well, or is it more?
Well, the technology is the same, artificial intelligence.
It's just a different application.
It's a different application. If we think, for instance, to the face, what we have the possibility for business intelligence to understand the gender, the age of that person, so as to characterize the customers entering, for instance, in my shopping mall, or also for digital signage application. Imagine to have a monitor, and on that monitor you have advertisement contents, always the same contents, independently on the person in front of the monitor. Imagine to also add a camera, looking the face of the person in front of the monitor, automatically understanding the type of person.
So you can customize.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. So if you have a baby, maybe that a girl, maybe that you can show an advertisement of Barbie. While if you have a baby but a man, you can show some toy cars or something like that.
Yes.
Basically, what you can do is to maximize the efficiency of your advertisement campaign.
So is there an application in security as well? So for companies that have security cameras?
Yes, we also have applications in security from the traditional application for intrusion detection. Imagine to have an area where it is forbidden, for instance, by night to have access. Then we are able to automatically detect the presence of a person, authorize the person there, but also for workers' security, with the possibility, for instance, to automatically understand if that worker is equipped or not with personal protection equipment, such as the jacket vest or the safety helmet, so as to protect that workers during the job, but also for fire safety. We have also an application for detecting the presence of flame and smoke, so as to immediately alert.
Call the fire department to come.
Yes.
That's really fascinating. So I heard you say earlier that your company works to make sure that the latest technology is incorporated. So you have a big focus on research and development in the AI space, so that your customers are always going to get whatever. And it's changing dramatically every day. So there are new things coming every day. So there's so much here fascinating to dig into that I'd like to learn about. Before we do that, though, I want to talk about you just a little bit. So you mentioned that you're an associate professor.
Yes.
So at the University of Salerno, and did you anticipate, or did you plan to become an entrepreneur? Is that something you thought you would do? And how did this all come together for you to be in this role? Are you the CEO of the company?
Well, I am one of the co-owners. Yes.
So how did this all happen for you? And did you anticipate this?
Well, to be honest, at the beginning, I just started my academic career. I started with my PhD, And what it happened was that, we are engineers. So even from a scientific point of view, in our research lab, in the media lab, our aim is to see things really working. So we like to develop algorithms and then to see something that can be really used for solving real problems in the real world. Then we started also with our algorithms some years ago, actually more than 10 years ago, to participate to international competitions. And we saw that, okay, we are good enough. We won some competitions. We scored at the first places in the competitions about artificial intelligence, detection algorithms, tracking algorithms. So, come on, we are good at the international level in the scientific community. Why don't do the next step? At that time, artificial intelligence, something started moving 12 years ago, more or less, and we understood that probably there were really some market for what we worked on. So the thought was, why not? And it also happened in the same period that the roles in Italy changed, in the sense that since some years before, it was not so normal for a professor of the university to have a company. It seemed two different ways. But at a given time, also in Italy, somebody started thinking that probably innovation can really come from the university, and it really makes sense that innovators, so professors of the university, can guide a company that can have success in the market. So on one side, our experience in the international research community. On the other side, the fact that the state started suggesting that it was something really, really good also for professors. And that's all. That's why
that's how it happened.
I'm here.
Well, interestingly, in about almost 20 years ago, so 18 years ago, in the United States, I did something similar, and it was very early. But the university where I was teaching allowed us to have a space like this on campus. We had a little house near campus, and so it was a tech company as well. I'll tell you about it sometime. But we created,
for sure.
we created a software product to help keep campuses safer.
Wow,
And it was a very exciting time. But like you said, it was back 18 years ago. It was highly unusual for a faculty member to do this, but it makes a lot of sense because, as you say, we're in the research, we're innovating anyway. We have connections on a broader scale. So I'm excited to see that this is happening here in Italy and a lot more commonly. So let's talk a little bit more about your company and how has it grown? When did you start AI Tech, and who are your customers now? It sounds like government is one of your customers, but I know you're actually a global company now.
Well, yeah. Actually, even if our office is only here, the one where we are now in Salerno, our applications are sold worldwide. Nowadays are installed in more than 50 countries all around the world.
That's impressive.
And we are really, really happy about that. That's mainly thanks to partnership with the technological partnership with the vendors, for instance, camera manufacturers, video management and software vendors, leaders worldwide in their respective field, supporting us in in selling our product. Also, I say that we are considered somehow like the R&D company of these big vendors that think that we are very good in what we do, and then understand that in order to also sell their product, we can be a very important adding value. So our typical customers are smart city, so public administration, but also in security environments, some private factors. We range from the house, or from the small house, for instance, for intrusion detection, to the big city or to the big farm. But also, let me say, the companies managing the roads, in transportation environment. We can also protect airports, metro station, train station. One of the most important projects we developed during the COVID period, during the pandemic, was, for instance, the protection of a very important of the gates of a very important transportation company in the north of Italy. We developed a system for the automatic detection of the number of people inside the gate, so as to inform the customers about the crowded
density and
so
the crowd.
To decide, okay,
let's go
later on there. Probably I will go taking my metro, my tram later on. Now that's more crowded.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So what year did you start the company?
Well, 12 years ago.
Wow, 12 years ago.
Yes.
So the pandemic probably really did, you had some real opportunity there. So especially in Milano, where it hit so hard initially. And so that's fascinating. And so when things opened back up, I could decide whether to get on a particular train car because there would be a sign that would say there are X number of people and help with some of the density of the.
Yeah, I think that it's not good, of course, to say that the pandemic gave us an advantage. It was not a technological advance for us, but I think in general for the market.
Right.
During that period, a lot of thermographic cameras for evaluating the temperature of the people, but also, let me say, the possibility to access to a place only if equipped with mask, crowded detection of crowded environment. Basically, in that period, all the market, the system integrators, started to understand that it was the only market. They have no intrusion detection. Everybody was at home. It did not make really sense in that period to protect the apartment. I was inside. But it makes sense to protect, to give access only if the face is covered by the mask and so on. So I think that in that period, there were a changement in the opinion of the persons,
right,
in working with AI.
Right, exactly. I mean, I was doing a lecture here yesterday at the University of Salerno, and I said we advanced 10 to 12 years in a few months technologically, worldwide. And so, yes, at my university, for example, when we walked into the building, there was a stand, and you had to put your face there, and it took your temperature, and it looked at your face to see whether you have your mask on, and that happened worldwide. And people would have been offended by that prior to the pandemic, But when the world opened back up, those were the kinds of tools that we needed to continue to move forward. And so the pandemic was a very interesting time. There were lots of opportunities created. There were lots of other big challenges and companies that had, that disappeared, I guess, during that time. But for AI, I can see people were much more accepting. Prior to that, there was probably a lot more fear associated with AI. Like, this is somebody watching me.
Well, at the end, if we think in not really specifically to AI, but if we think that all the meetings were mainly face by face, often it happened that I had to travel for 8 hours just to do a meeting of 1 hour and then travel back again. Now you accept somehow any kind of instrument for doing a call, not face by face, but behind the monitor. So now you accept this. It became, let me say, the new normality. For the AI, that's exactly the same. People started accepting AI in their daily life.
Yes. So you're in 50 countries, you said, I think?
54 probably.
54, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thanks a lot.
Now, tell me a little bit more about your team. Do you have, most of your team is located here. And it's a research team, I assume, mostly. But tell me a little bit more about how you've built this company, because for a lot of scientists, it's hard to build companies because they haven't been trained in that, they haven't been prepared. So I'm guessing the university and the incubator and other programs have helped you with that as well.
Well, actually, our team is mainly composed by the scientific part, the scientific minds behind, let me say, of the
human intelligence.
Yes, using the artificial intelligence, but
that's right.
Human intelligence is definitely the most important part of our team. There are also the engineers specialized in AI development, in web application development, full stack development. We have the support team and the sales department, let me say. And each of this part of the company, of course, is fundamental for us in its specific role. But I would like to spend some more words about the owners of the company, the co-founders of the company, since I think that for the success of a company, one of the most important factors is the team behind this. That's not so simple to have a company. There are moments, happy moment, and everyone are linked together in happy moment. That's simple. In this moment, it's simple to have a company. It's simple to work together. That's a bit more difficult to work together and to stay together.
Yes.
Well, in the moment where things do not go as you expect. Well, I mean, I don't think that there are companies only having a happy moment. In any company, there are happy moments and a bit less happy moment. But one of the main strengths, for sure the scientific background and the knowledge of our team is the main strength. But it's not the only one. Behind the knowledge, there are people. And having some colleagues, I'm very, very lucky from this point of view, because together with my colleagues, we are also friends. We are not only colleagues. And in the moment in which one of us, come on, no, it's a bad period, all the others are there to support,
to help you,
that people. And this is one of the best and the best thing that our team has. We are very, very lucky in this. And one of our owners of this, the most expert, let me say, of the company, is really a leader, a motivator. From the psychological, let me say, point of view. And
Yes.
working with this kind of persons is definitely one of the most important things.
I think that's so true, and that's such an important point. The leadership and the team that comes together is critical. I mean, you can have a great idea, great product, and a bad team can destroy it. And you can have a moderate product, and a great team can make it great. And I think that's such a good point. I also think it's the other important point that you brought up is people having different skills that they bring. So even though you're all scientific, some of you have different personalities, and you have somebody on your team who is a motivator, positive, optimistic, that can help keep everybody going. And then there's probably somebody on the team that's more realistic and says, wait a minute, we have to think about this, because you can't have everybody optimistic and everybody pessimistic. You have to, it's the balance. Yes, it's the balance that makes a difference. So has the team stayed together from the start over 12 years, or has it changed?
Well, it's more or less the same. Actually, I entered in this team in a second moment, together with some other colleagues. I was not here from the beginning. When the company has been founded, I was doing my PhD. I was very, very young. I decided to join the team and the company a couple of years after. So let me say, has changed just a little bit. New persons, including myself, at the end entered the company.
I thought you looked too young to be doing this that long. So this is just amazing and so impressive, and I love it as somebody who's in the academic community, seeing entrepreneurship and the academic community come together and how this all works. You know, one of the big challenges, and you brought this up, there's happy moments and there's bad, not so happy moments. So have there been times along the way that you thought maybe this company wasn't going to make it, or that something big happened that you wanted to just give up? Have there been any times along the way that you felt that way? And how did you deal with that, if so?
Well, what it happened once, we had a lot of applications, really working application, accurate applications, nice. You go to the customer for trying selling the application, and then one of the first question is, very, very nice, very, very nice application. Where did you already install it? Come on, I'm a young company. I haven't yet installations, so I have no reference. Not so. Come on, please come to me once you will have reference. And this time by time at the beginning was something hard. I mean, everyone need to start somewhere.
Yes.
So I don't have installation. I can prove that my applications are really, really good. Please, come on, try this. So at the beginning was hard, but once we started with, actually some companies at the end trusted in us. And once started in this way, then everything became more simple. But at the beginning, it seemed, okay, no already done installation. Come on, I don't want to work with you.
Yes, yes. It's so hard you have to get that first customer and prove that concept. Mm-hmm. And that's very hard. And I imagine, cultures differ, countries, areas differ in that, but trust is one of the most important elements. I did some research a few years back in the entrepreneurial mindset and emotional intelligence space. And trust was identified as the top criterion. So, a lot of times when you're new, you haven't developed that confidence in what you're doing. And so selling and getting somebody to be that first customer can be really tough, and getting that first installation, as you put it. Do you have somebody do you personally do sales? In other words, do your founders go out and sell the product, or do you have a sales team?
Well, we have we support the company as advisors, let me say, but we have some persons of the company devoted to selling the application, to go to the market. Yes,
but you probably, as the creators, the scientists, you have to occasionally step in and help to sell.
Basically, the minds we talked about before.
Yes, the minds behind it, absolutely. But selling is such an important part of a startup, and a lot of, I think, scientific researchers like myself and you, we don't always, we underestimate the importance of the selling side, because taking a complex scientific concept and simplifying it is probably one of the most challenging things to do, and it's so important and so critical.
Well, let me tell you an history about that, because at the beginning, one of our first applications was for intrusion detection. So basically, there is a detection algorithm to identify the presence of a person, and a tracking algorithm for extracting the trajectory of this person. We developed a very, very nice, accurate algorithm, but only us, we were the only persons able to configure the application. So we understood that, it will be accurate as much as we wish, but at the end, it's not for us, this application. And if you are in the scientific community and you have to publish a paper, it doesn't matter if you are the only person able to configure.
Yes, it's true.
But if you move to the market, that's not true, because at the end, if you sell, let me say, 3,000 licenses per year, you cannot be the person configuring the worldwide 3,000 licenses. You should spend your whole life in configuring. So probably something more closer to the customer and to the knowledge of the customers.
Yes.
Customers are not AI engineers, are not AI scientists. So they need to, the aim of a good application is to work well. Yes, that's not enough. It needs to be simple and simply usable from the customer side. They need to appreciate the speed.
So
for
true.
Configuration.
So true. That is such an important point, because when you understand something at a very complex level, making it simple enough for the customer to use and creating is what you have to do to create value, because it's about the customer. And that's one thing that I have seen that with a lot of scientists, because we love the elegance of the complexity, but the customer doesn't.
No, not at all.
The customer wants a usable product. So that is such a great story. And I know, a lot of our listeners are students that are studying and taking what they're working on to the marketplace. So that's going to be a very important point, I think, for them to hear. So what is next for your company? You're in 54 countries. You do a lot of work with municipalities and transportation and with security. Where are you headed? Do you just plan to keep growing that footprint? What are some of the new innovations and things that you're working on that you can talk about?
For sure, we hope to continue growing up as we did in the last period. At the end, seeing our students that can grow up inside the company with us, so from, let me say, maybe internship to employ, that's one of the most important point for us. So for sure, growing and also seeing people growing with us,
nurturing their development. Yes,
that's great.
That's wonderful.
That's great. Also, I consider AI Tech like a kind of jewels. It's my jewels. So seeing that the application that we have thought is really used in US, in Australia. Well, come on,
that's pretty cool.
That's cool. That's really cool.
It is.
So it's something really, really exciting. It makes time. It makes sense to work until midnight. If at the end you will see this
start at 5 a.m.
we
go until midnight. Yes, it's hard work, but it makes it worthwhile.
It makes sense. It definitely at the end makes sense. And then from a technical point of view, we have still a lot of things to put on the market. I mean, now we are working on solutions for flood detection, for the protection of the roads, for understanding that there is some water on the road,
ice or water,
and then it will be dangerous for vehicles to cross there. Yeah. So from a technical point of view, I mean, our aim is to never start, to always continue to do innovation. We are innovators.
Yeah.
So already trying to solve new problems and also to solve better the problems that we already solved. Let me say, we release at least a major release for year. It means that we have changed the algorithm, the AI-based algorithm behind. So we have 20 applications, more or less. It means that we have to focus on and to solve 20 algorithms per year. That's
a lot.
But we enjoy in doing
in
doing this.
Well, it's very exciting, and I know that I don't see that you will run out of opportunity for your company anytime soon, especially as technology is advancing. And I love that a big part of your mission is continuing to educate and develop in your company, not just at the university, but in your company. So I have a passion for that as well. And that's very, very inspiring. So this has been wonderful. I would love to ask you, I ask all of my guests, what one piece of advice they would share with someone, because a lot of the listeners are where you were 10 years ago or so. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to go down this path?
Well, I think that the most important advice that I feel to give is choose the right people to work with. Together, you will leave a great idea and you will surely have success. But nothing is possible alone. And the team, the sum of the single legs, it's definitely more than the real sum. So do something together and choose the right people.
That's such great advice. So thank you for sharing that.
Thanks
it's all about the people. This has been wonderful. Yes. So where can our listeners, if they're interested, find out more about your company, perhaps even connect with you if you are on social?
Yeah, please, you can add me on LinkedIn. Please feel free to do it. My name is Alessia Saggese, and you will find also the link of our company with 3W itech.vision.
high-tech vision. And I'll have that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
a
spending
lot.
the time
It was
with
a
me
really
today. It's been
pleasure.
wonderful.
If you enjoyed this episode and would like to learn more about entrepreneurship, we would love it if you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of InFactor.